Okay, good morning. So I was indeed, my name is Einat Wilf. I was born and raised in Israel, but I did study in the United States and took it as an opportunity to be an intern with AIPAC, and it was quite the experience. I thought I would learn about the Middle East, about American foreign policy. What I learned was about the American political system and how it works. It was one of the reasons that I was able to write, about 20 years later, my most recent book titled "It's Not the Electoral System Stupid," which argued that the Israeli electoral system is no worse than all other electoral systems, in which we like to call it functioning democracies, because I was able to get to know the American electoral systems and to see that ultimately, when you get to know them very closely, they are all deeply flawed, and we do no worse than anyone else. But in the intervening years, I did some politics. I was a member of the Israeli parliament. And in the 2 years since I've been out of parliament, I have been serving as a kind of roving ambassador for Israel and Zionism. I've been going all around the world, working with pro-Israel organizations. Of course, the formidable AIPAC in the United States, but all across the world, just recently with AIPAC in Australia, New Zealand, and their efforts, CIJA in Canada, and BICOM in the UK, and ELNET in Europe. And there are more and more efforts all around the world to stand up for Israel. And AIPAC is certainly the inspiration and the gold standard. And the reason that there is increased mobilization is because there is a war going on. And it is a war that is waged not by means of tanks or airplanes or rockets or tunnels. It is a war waged by means of words, images, ideas. And it is a war with a violent purpose. Some people, especially on campus, will try to convince you that something good is happening because this war is non-violent, that the struggle is non-violent. They will have you think that because the struggle is non-violent, it means that on the other side of the struggle are Mandela, Gandhi, and Martin Luther King. But the fact that the means are non-violent, that they are words and images and ideas, doesn't mean that the end is also non-violent. There's no connection. You can have a violent struggle for a very noble cause. Many of humanity's struggles were of that kind. And you can have a non-violent struggle for a very sinister cause. And this is what we have going on, especially on campuses, and in academia, and in media. All the places where words and images and ideas matter. And the sinister purpose of this war is to create an intellectual environment by which more and more people of goodwill begin to think that a world without Israel would be a better world. And the manner in which this war is waged is what I call the placard strategy. You will know it from demonstrations. Placards are carried, but it's also true for debates, speeches, TV performances. These placards say, Israel equals, Zionism equals. It somehow never says, Zionism equals the political movement for self-determination of the Jewish people in their ancient homeland. I'm thinking of doing a t-shirt with that. You know what these placards say, because this strategy has been so effective. It says, Israel and Zionism equals racism, colonialism, apartheid, ethnic cleansing. Recently, the summer genocide became very popular. And people will have you believe that these words are chosen because they reflect reality. Maybe we're a bit emotional about it, but they reflect reality. Absolutely not. They are chosen for a very specific reason. They are chosen because they all share something in common. These words are by now universally considered evil. So what is actually happening is a strategy, whether it's on placards or whether it is a speaker on television. Whenever I debate anti-Israel speakers on television or in panels, give them 30 seconds and they'll manage to put those 3 words into a sentence. So the placard strategy is not just about the placards. But the effect of it is to create an endless repetition, which is Israel and Zionism equal evil. Israel and Zionism equal evil. Israel and Zionism equal evil. And ultimately, on your campuses, you have young people of goodwill who want the world to be a better place. Now, if you want the world to be a better place, and you constantly hear that there is an evil out there is an evil in this world, well, then it is incumbent upon you, it is your duty as a person of goodwill to rid this world of evil. And this is why this war is so important, and this is why it's so dangerous. Don't fall for people who tell you that it's nonviolent. It's about critique of Israel. Let me tell you, how do you identify a reasonable debate about Israel? Very easy. You will identify it by the absolute absence of the placard strategy. When those words are absent, you have a good chance that someone is engaging in a reasonable debate about Israel and policies. When those words are used, you know very well that what is happening is this repetition of Israel and Zionism are evil. And it's serious because if you think about history around the world, almost all of the world's atrocities have been preceded by preparing people's minds to the point that by the time they carried out the physical atrocity, they no longer thought they were doing something bad. So if you get people to believe that Israel and Zionism are truly so evil, you create an opening for physical action to follow. Which is why this is a non-violent struggle with a very violent end. And just as one side is presented with all the words that are evil, the other side is presented with all the words that are beautiful. Solidarity, justice. My favorite is justice for Palestine. I want justice for Palestine. Who wouldn't want justice for Palestine? Unless you realize that the injustice that needs to be corrected so that there will be justice for Palestine is the very existence of the State of Israel. That is the injustice. So very violent ends are masked with very beautiful words. And this is what's going on your campuses. And so many young people of goodwill are being roped in to a very sinister effort. And your job is made so much harder by the need to disconnect these people of goodwill who want to do good, who care for peace, who care for human rights, and to expose to them that they are serving a cause that is anything but. And I am completely with Jonathan here. I believe that ultimately our goal in this war should be victory. Considered at times a quaint notion. No one thinks of winning anymore. Let's draw a tie, get some points. But I think the goal should be victory. It will take time. We will make mistakes. There will be battles lost and won. It takes staying power. It's exhausting. But my definition of victory, which you might say, how do you define victory when it comes to words and images and ideas? I define it quite simply as the moment when those who hold rabid anti-Israel and anti-Zionist views will enjoy the social acceptability that neo-Nazis enjoy today. It is about reversing the social acceptability equation. about having people who have those ideas and views feel that they are isolated and marginalized. Today, on many campuses, the social acceptability equation is not that. To self-declare yourself a Zionist at times puts you at risk of social isolation. And I insist on using the word Zionist and Zionism, even though sometimes people cringe, and not just pro-Israel or pro-peace. Because one of our biggest challenges as we seek to win is not just to battle what is happening on the other side, but it's to retell our story. Our story has been lost. So many people engage, sometimes lovers of Israel, engage in what I call Zionism denial. The story that somehow Israel was given to the remains of the Jewish people post the Holocaust by guilty European nations in a colonial tract of land that they control. So by the way, European nations did not feel guilty after World War II. It took about a generation or so to even begin to feel guilty. But this is Zionism denial, not Holocaust denial. Zionism denial is denying the Jewish people their story. The fact that in all but name, Israel existed before World War II and would have been stronger and better without the Holocaust. Israel did not exist thanks to the Holocaust. In many ways in spite of it. Had to surmount tremendous challenges because of it. But Israel came into being because of the sheer ideas, work, sweat, tears, mobilization of mostly young people inspired by a great idea. And we need to remind people of this great idea, of a people who said, we will no longer passively wait for a Messiah. We will be our own Messiahs. We will shape our future, no longer oppressed, no longer marginalized, no longer persecuted. We will pick ourselves up, take ourselves back to our ancient homeland, renew our sovereignty, and learn to be responsible again to shape our fate. It's one of the world's and history's greatest stories, most inspirational stories. We need to retell it. It's been lost, and we need to remind people what it is. So this is my vision for victory. Not just will we reverse the social acceptability equation, we will experience a renaissance, once again, of people who know our story and who know how amazing and inspirational the story of Zionism truly is. Thank you.